everyone and welcome back. In this video we're going to talk about listening. Listening, in my opinion, is the easiest yet most effective and rewarding skill to practice. But I know that for many language learners it doesn't feel like that because during listening you encounter many hurdles which are super difficult to overcome, and as it keeps going like this, listening kind of seems pointless to you or you just don't understand what to do in order for your listening exercises to work for you. So today I'm here to address this issue and propose some of my most effective solutions. And listening, if you just figure out how to do it in the most effective way possible, is going to help you a lot because everything is connected to listening if you think in some way. Well, basically speaking is directly connected to listening. So many of your problems that are related to speaking are probably caused by listening. And also listening and reading to a lot makes you sound smarter. Also, we can't obviously ignore the pronunciation aspect of listening because listening helps you to kind of get the natural feeling of the language and just recognize how people really speak it. And I'm not only talking about language learning because in your professional life, listening is a super important personal trait. Being a good listener in any language just takes you a step forward. So that's why mainly I feel like this is a crucial skill to practice. And mainly when it comes to language learning, as I mentioned, listening is connected to everything. It's basically intertwined with speaking. So for many of your problems, listening is the core issue. Best thing you can do to overcome challenges related to listening is listening from the very beginning of your language learning journey. Some people text me like, I just want to learn this language, but I don't know where to start. Like, should I learn new vocabulary? Should I study grammar? Should I listen to something? You're going to do all of them, but never neglect listening. Listening is going to be with us from the day zero. I'm gonna give you a personal example here. When I started learning French, I was 11, like this is just a background info so that the situation doesn't look weird. For the first 3 years, I kind of like learned nothing and I only listened to French, which I don't recommend because that's like пустая трата времени. But the thing is, this is probably the main reason why my French is like sounds supernatural and why I kind of have the feeling for language. So the feeling for the language is kind of like when you speak, you just know what to say and you know where it's la, where it's le, you know which verbs to employ, and you know language is in general more natural to you, and that's a really obvious result of listening. But obviously I'm not asking you to take 3 years to do that. You can do this during your language learning journey and it should be that way actually. But I also know that when you first start practicing listening in a different language, you're going to find it super difficult. Because in real life, native speakers talk at a really fast pace and they probably have a different accent from what you have learned and they don't speak as clearly as your textbooks or as your language teacher. But you can still practice listening in a fun and interactive way. So in this video I want to talk to you about Lingopie. Every morning while having your coffee you may watch an episode of a show in your target language. I know that sounds like super easy and fun, but in real life it's super exhausting because there are a bunch of words that you don't know. But on Lingopie you can simply pause the show anytime you want, click on a tricky word and create flashcards. So as you can understand, it's like language learning built right into your entertainment. Also, you can use these shows to practice your pronunciation and speak in a more natural way, closer to native speakers. Repeat specific scenes as many times as you want until you make sure that you understand everything, or try imitating the dialogues. You can use the Say It feature on Lingopie to get instant feedback on your pronunciation so that you can improve it. The best point is your Lingopie subscription comes with 9 languages, so with Lingopie's rich library of content, you're never going to run out of listening materials. In general, I feel like Lingopie is a real game changer for language learners who want to make this process more fun and also immerse themselves in real and authentic content. So if you also want to try Lingopie, you can check the description and sign up with my personal link to get a 7-day free trial and exclusive discounts on the platform. So now I'm gonna take you with me and we're going to practice listening together. Hello, welcome again. So now we're going to practice listening. I'm going to show you how to do that. In order to practice listening, you will basically need your phone, your laptop or TV, anything you can listen to, and preferably a notebook. So today we are going to divide listening into 2 sections, active listening and passive listening. As active listening, I define exercises and practices that require effort, that require your concentration, your work, and that include some kind of like studying. And as passive listening, we mainly understand listening to podcasts, listening to music, or just being exposed to some kind of speech. So now let's start with active listening and the problems it may bring along. So the main problems with active listening are you either find the speech like super fast so you can't really catch the words, or even if you can get something, you don't understand because there are no subtitles and you can't make sure of what you have heard. But there are solutions for both of them. So basically on any platform you can just change the speed of the thing that you're listening to. We can just make it faster, we can just make it a bit slower, and then listen.
Является императивным для того, чтобы мы могли эффективно работать с мыслями, эмоциями и самыми разными жизненными событиями. Я слышу это.
And as you can see here, some podcasts already come with their transcripts, but that's always not for each one of them. For some of them, you will have to just buy some membership, some kind of subscription, or you can just use the automatic subtitles on YouTube, on some kind of YouTube extensions. And initially, I would recommend you to have 2 subtitles, one in the original language and one in a language that you understand. And eventually, you're going to remove the one that you understand so that you can basically focus on the content. Something I did with each language to finally start understanding the content I watch in that language is finding a YouTube video, translating every subtitle until I end up understanding the video. It's time consuming, it's super exhausting, but by the end you will realize that you're going to understand a great part of the videos online in that language, because basically while we're speaking we always use the same words. You just go to your favorite language teacher's channel on YouTube, pick a random video and analyze it, watching it 10 times, studying everything, all the vocabulary, and just watching it again and again. Believe me, that's a revolutionary exercise to make, and it's going to help you a lot with further understanding and easily watching content in the language that you're learning. Something else you can do to practice your pronunciation is basically shadowing. So you're going to pick a podcast and pause it after every sentence. You may have subtitles or not. In this case, I basically don't have them. And you're just gonna repeat and imitate the speech so your speech sounds natural.
Jag har ju varit med och utvecklat 2 program.
Jag har varit med och utvecklat 2 program. So here I think utvecklat is like I developed.
Och i början var jag lite tveksam.
Och i början var jag lite tveksam. So here you may want to just check for the vocabulary, for example, tveksam. You can easily search for this because it's like super apparent, and you can just check that tveksam means hesitant. And something I think that's not mentioned enough is dictation, because dictation helps you both with listening and writing. So basically someone is going to read you something super slowly and then just wait for you to write it down, and then they will repeat it, so you are just going to check if you understood everything correctly.
En choisissant la simplicité, on trouve une plus grande liberté et une plus grande harmonie avec nous-mêmes et le monde qui nous entoure.
So basically right now that I'm listening to it, I can just acknowledge that it requires a lot of grammar knowledge, a lot of those subtle details that you should be aware of. I practiced dictation before my French C2 exam to fix my grammatical mistakes, and I believe that there are dictations for every language and every level on YouTube. I know I kind of look weird right now, but let's talk about passive listening and eventually real life practice. Well, passive listening for me is mostly kind of incorporating your daily life and language learning and surrounding yourself with language, like real content in that language. And I mostly do this in languages that I'm already fluent in, so that like I actually understand the thing that I'm listening to and it's still helpful to me in some way. So basically, if I want to listen to a Spanish podcast, I wouldn't just pause after every sentence. I'm just listening to it like...
Es importante cuidar lo que decimos y cómo lo decimos. Se puede alcanzar el éxito haciendo algo que nos gusta. ¿Existen alguna otra forma o camino para llegar a una...
So just listen to this, and you can also create a blank page on your notes page, which I do often. I basically have those documents for each language where I take notes for the vocabulary that I have heard recently or vocabulary that I saw on Instagram and everything, and I update this super often and I review this vocabulary to like kind of enrich in my own speech. What I mostly prefer in this case is listening to podcasts, because most of them are like super friendly, super conversational, and sometimes it feels like you're on a FaceTime with a friend. So especially when I'm living alone, I always have some podcast playing in the background so that I just don't feel super alone, and it still helps me with my language abilities. And lastly, I want to mention music, which kind of gives you the feeling of the language, because during my 3 years of French listening, what I listened to obviously wasn't like French podcasts, like I never did that. I mostly listened to French music, and later on when I was learning French, like actually learning French, it kind of helped me to see how things fit together in sentences and how we actually employ them. And when I was studying grammatical topics, I was like, look, I already know how to make past tense in French because I listen to so much French that I can actually just build this in my head right now. So I think listening kind of remains crucial as long as you are listening to things consciously and not just listening to songs in a language that you have nothing to do with. Because in my case, I would still like check the lyrics, or even if I don't understand the lyrics, I would just open the lyrics and follow them, so I kind of see how the verbs change, how like the sentence is formed, and how the adjectives change in French like according to the gender. And I think at some point, like also checking the English lyrics, the lyrics in your language helps you a lot, so you can create associations in your head. I think we covered all the points, so I'm just gonna make my final speech and conclude this video. The things that you don't understand today, they're going to make sense in 6 months. But if you just want to see the results of your work, make sure that you listen to every day or regularly, and you listen to the same thing a lot of times, and you support listening with speaking. And also, listening is going to be your main vocabulary learning source. Listening will give you new words, it will help you with your pronunciation, it's the real base for your speaking. I hope you found this video helpful and enlightening. You can also check my social media accounts and YouTube channel if you want to get more advice on language learning. Thanks for listening to me today, and hopefully we will see each other again on another video. Bye!